Now switching gears to health story, where recently at the inaugural conference on brain health and dementia hosted by Aga Khan University's Brain and Mind Institute experts highlighted key factors contributing to dementia's rise, especially in Africa. With the continent's aging population set to triple by 2050, the conference underscores Africa's unique challenges, which includes limited resources, varying healthcare infrastructures, and a critical need for awareness and education. The report was prepared by our very own Kassim Mustafa. Let's take a look.
Dementia, a term used for a range of diseases affecting memory and thinking skills, has become a growing concern worldwide. It impairs a person's ability to remember, solve problems, and carry out daily activities, and primarily affects older people.
As a neuropsychologist, my job is to help people protect their brain health, and so that they can live until they're in their 90s. We all know what that looks like. We know people who are thriving, they're remembering things. We go to them for advice, and we all want to be that older person. So our job is to help you become that older person, but we can't do that unless we know what factors are driving aging.
As dementia progresses, these difficulties worsen, making it increasingly challenging for individuals to manage their everyday lives. The underlying cause of dementia involves damage of brain cells, which disrupts normal brain function, while aging is a major risk factor.
We're very much interested in understanding how the brain ages, and there is something as like a biological age, there's a chronological age, there is physiological age, they're all different.
So we're doing imaging through MRIs, which means we put participants in a brain scanner. We take pictures of their brain. We also sample their blood to look for any proteins that could indicate some risk of later developing memory problems. And it's important that we do that here so that we know if the risk factors for aging or dementia are different from other countries, and that means that we need different treatments.
The other factors such as high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, smoking, physical inactivity, and social isolation can increase the risk. Some individuals have rare genetic variants linked to dementia, though researchers are still studying why this occurs in certain people.
Stressors are known to be the key drivers of mental ill health. But the issue is mental ill health itself, like what we are trying to address in this resiliency study, is that you and I may be exposed to the same stressor, yet we may not both react the same way. In other words, I may get depressed and you may not.
To address these issues, experts gathered in Nairobi for a major conference focused on dementia. The event, held at Aga Khan University Brain and Mind Institute, organized in collaboration with Demos Alzheimer's Collaborative DAC and the Nature Conferences. It aimed to address the growing dementia crisis, particularly in Africa.
We want to understand, essentially, what are the factors that influence the brain aging. We all know for a fact that stressors are very detrimental, usually, to your well-being, but everybody responds differently to the stressors. And so what we've done in this study is in essence used a stressor of a health-related stressor, cancer diagnosis, which is very stressful both from psychological and from physical perspective. And we want to see how different people react to that sort of an insult, to understand what are the processes that actually make you more resilient and make you more frail.
During the conference, Professor Zul Merali, Director of Brain and Mind Institute at Aga Khan University, stressed the urgent need for the better resources and healthcare infrastructure to manage dementia effectively in Africa.
In this study, in particular, we're using a very powerful stressor, which is cancer. Cancer diagnosis, as you know, not only you feel threatened that your life might be at stake. You feel threatened that you might not be able to live long. You might feel threatened because other people may not see you the way they used to see you before. Threatened because you may not be able to maintain the relationships that you had. Some people may distance from you, things like that. So it's very stressful.
Experts noted that much of the existing research focus on other regions which may not fully apply to African populations. This gap can limit the effectiveness of the treatment for African patients.
We're thinking about therapies and interventions to promote brain health in the African context. We need to think about things that work for Africans. Africans are very community-driven. Africans are very spiritual. I really like what the representative from the directorate mentioned about when treating illness, you don't just treat the body or just the mind, but you treat the spirit as well. And that's so important within the African context.
With Africa's older population expected to triple by 2050, the urgency to address dementia is greater than ever. In sub-Saharan Africa alone, the number of people with dementia is projected to rise from 2.13 million in 2015 to 7.62 million by 2050.
Giving you a treatment that is going to provide curative intent, but it takes away all your testosterone. You are no longer feeling like a man. Just like you're no longer feeling like a woman when we take away all the estrogens as part of your treatment. That endogenous stress, what does it do to your brain, to your biomarkers, to your MRI? Those are acute phases of stress that we can measure very easily, which is why we decided to use stress, an endogenous stress of cancer, as our stressor event for this BMI study.
We're not just doing research that will benefit Africa, but our research is truly global and has a lot of potential to address these issues globally.
All the scientists that are conducting this study are members of the Brain and Mind Institute, promoting, as I said, the brain health, mental health agenda.
The conference also emphasized the role of early detection and lifestyle change in managing dementia by fostering collaboration between Africa and global researchers aiming to develop a better strategy for dealing with this growing health challenge. Kassim, Mustafa, for the Muslim Insight.